Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear about the importance of teaching Arizona students new ways to learn math. And we'll learn ways to help with taxes as the end of the year approaches. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Governor Doug Ducey today laid a wreath at the USS Arizona Memorial in Pearl Harbor. It's the 74th anniversary of the Japanese attack that killed nearly 1,200 crew members on the battleship. Governor also ordered that flags at all state buildings be lowered to half-staff in observance of National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. And tomorrow, the U.S. Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments in a challenge to Arizona legislative districts drawn by the state's Redistricting Commission. A group of about a dozen Republicans argues that the district boundaries were designed to favor Democrats, a claim that the commission denies. A ruling by the High Court is not expected for months. If the court decides with the plaintiffs, the state's 30 districts could be redrawn shortly before the next election. Tonight's edition of American Graduate looks at why nearly 2/3 of Arizona students failed the math portion of the new AZ Merit Test. The test was conducted for the first time this past spring, and education officials had expected low scores, but those math results should improve with added emphasis on teaching real-world knowledge and skills, as evident in a financial math class at a Tempe high school. Producer Shauna Fisher and photographer Miguel Valverde have the story.
We're going to do some math today to see which one will grow the best. And then
Robin Palmer's financial math class is more than just figures and formulas.
Will that grow automatically? No. When will it grow? So if I put money in, right?
The students in her class are gaining real-world knowledge.
The idea was that we take financial topics that they're going to need to know how to use in their lives and create a class that goes around that. So when they graduate from this class, they should know how to buy a car, get an apartment, buy stock, make investments if they want to, organize a budget for themselves. Lots of different things that all of us experience in our lives.
4 years ago, Arizona's Department of Education changed state requirements to include 4 years of math in order to graduate high school. McClintock High School in Tempe, where Palmer teaches, decided to offer the financial math class as an option.
This math class pertains to actual life. This is something I'm going to be using day to day from everything that I do, and it's pretty nice to learn besides letters and stuff from regular math.
Today's lesson is about saving and investing money.
What I tried to do with today's lesson is show that stocks are still one option for them. And if they have a little bit of money, they can take it and invest that in the stock market and potentially make money, but also the stock market is very risky. So I like them to understand investment strategies that they can make with a little bit of money.
Using mason jars and candy, Palmer is able to explain the concepts of simple and compound interest and engage the students.
I decided to take financial math because I know that learning to do better with your money is something that everybody needs to know. Not just the average guy in school, but all of us are eventually going to have to use this math to do with our day-to-day life.
For Gabriela Palacios, this class goes beyond helping her GPA.
I am definitely more prepared to go into the workforce because we filled out papers we filled out checkbooks, how to fill out checks, forms like W-9s and stuff like that. Work forms that I've never really filled out before.
Palmer says it's not just her students who could benefit from this class. A State Department of Economics analysis of job figures shows 68% of jobs in Arizona only require a high school diploma. But the majority of those jobs are entry-level and low-paying. And Palmer says if we want to increase the number of higher-paying jobs in the state, having students who understand finance is attractive to companies.
I think that as we increase these skill levels of our high school students, the employers are going to benefit because all of a sudden they have employees who are better at what they do.
Palmer says another benefit to her class, her students taking home the lessons they learn.
So I love when the parents let me know that I made a difference in their lives of their children because I know that it's going to be better for them in the long run. So not only do I get to see the lights come into the classroom, but I get to see families learn and benefit from just the learning that has taken place in my room.
The class is currently just for seniors, but the principal would like to offer it to all grades. Here now to talk about the importance of math in education is Cheryl Johnson, secondary math specialist at Mesa Public Schools, Kimberly Rimby, the Chief Learning Officer from the Rodell Foundation of Arizona, and Al Bogus, Director of ASU's School of Mathematical and Statistical Sciences. Good to have you all here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
This business of 35% passing the math test of the AZ Merit test, did that surprise you?
No, I think that's what we expected. We raised the bar with the mathematical standards, and this was our first year of full implementation with an assessment that measured that success. And in the year before, while we fully implemented the new standards, we had the AIMS test, so it was measuring the former standards.
And the AIMS test was measuring things that you don't really, I wouldn't say aren't all that important, but you're looking at the AZ Merit test, looking at this natural, real world kind of stuff. A little bit different, wasn't it?
It was different.
How different was this? And again, are you surprised that a third couldn't quite get it the first time through?
Like Cheryl, I really wasn't surprised either, because we did raise that bar, and raising that bar is really important. We want Arizona's children to be nationally and internationally competitive. So raising that bar, it'll take us a little bit of time to catch up, but not a lot.
How is the test more reflective of the real world?
You know, one thing that we're really focusing on now is the how, the why, and the when it comes to math. And this test is really looking at not only how do I do math. For a long time we have focused on how do I do long division? How do I convert from a fraction to a decimal to a percent? But we want to look at way more than just the how. We want to look at the why. Why does it work that way? And can I explain why it works that way? And the when. When am I going to use this? When is this going to be applicable in real life?
And when they get to the university level, what are you seeing from high schools? Is it basically they're not quite sure of the why?
So they need both the procedural knowledge but also deeper conceptual knowledge, and relating it to the real world is of critical importance. For example, we have 4 different flavors of calculus that we teach, one for business, one for engineering, one for life sciences, and one for the hard sciences. So relating it to the real world is absolutely critical.
Is the idea of the usual path of, I'll start with you, with geometry through calculus in high school, you get to move on to, is that an old-fashioned thing? Is it necessary for all high school students to understand calculus?
Not necessarily. You have to understand a good algebra and pre-calculus background. For the students that don't make it through calculus, we teach calculus in college. And so that it's not essential that you have calculus before. It's very essential that you have the prerequisites, like the pre-calculus and algebra and trigonometry skills before you get to calculus.
To get a bit of a ramp then,
Yes.
once you get there. In terms of mathematics in general, why is it so difficult for kids? What's going on out there?
Well, I think sometimes students have had a bad experience. It's kind of socially acceptable to say, I'm not good at mathematics, my parents aren't good at mathematics. Somewhere in their academic career, they hit a block where they felt internally, innately, they didn't know mathematics. And the brain research shows that that's not true, that anyone can learn mathematics.
But why are they hitting that block, and why can't they get past that block?
Well, I think we're doing work with teachers in engaging students in that productive struggle and allowing them to approach problems in a different way, to have different avenues to get to a solution. And there's not only one way to do mathematics, and it's not algorithmic. So allowing that discussion and for students to teach teachers on what their thinking is so that teachers can unravel that, and if there's a misconception, that they can make a correction to that.
You know, I think about when I was a kid, I was a sports nut, and I could do batting averages and earned run averages and all these sorts of things very young. I didn't go too much past that, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever the case may be. But is that what we're talking about in terms of just finding something that a kid is interested in or makes sense to that student and going from there?
Absolutely. We want to make sure that kids can make sense of the mathematics, and we want to make sure that the teachers can help kids have access to that. You know, a lot of our teachers grew up in a system where they learned how to do procedures, but they didn't necessarily know how to make everything relevant for themselves. And so we really have to spend a lot of time working with our teachers. We have excellent teachers in Arizona who want to make a difference with their kids. But the way that they need to teach math to prepare them for life as well as for the tests really requires a new approach. And so helping our teachers learn how to make math accessible and interesting through things like batting averages and money. Financial literacy
Yes.
was a great example
Yes.
of something that's very relevant to our children, even at 5 years old.
Is there a way, even at the university level, but what you're seeing coming into the university, why is it so hard for some of these? And is it basically a cultural norm just to be able to say, I can't do it and no one's going to think any worse of you?
It's not acceptable anymore, and we certainly take the attitude at college is that if you try hard enough and work at it, some people have to work at it harder, but everybody can do it. And your approach of the conceptual mathematics and the explaining mathematics from multiple points of view is also critically important. Students don't learn math in the same ways. Some are visual, some are more algorithmic and algebraic, and so the key is for the teacher to understand that student's learning style and try to pick the approach that's appropriate for them.
Would an appropriate approach for some to take a more artistic look at math, just to see the flowing movement of numbers and algebraic equations and say, this is beautiful, as opposed to, this is hard, get it right, or we're going to do it again?
Yes, and you know, math is everywhere. It's in every walk of life. And so finding the niche of how to explain math in the area that makes sense and meaningful to the students is a key.
I've read in doing research on this that math requirements can fuel dropout rates, because it's like the first thing that a kid says, I can't do this, and then it tumbles from there. I mean, it's important to not have those blocks, as you mentioned, because too many blocks, the kid doesn't graduate, correct?
Correct. We have supports for students. We have courses that they can take in conjunction with their math courses that support either the class that they're taking concurrently or to fill some of the gaps that the students may come in with. We have social promotion, so a student can enter high school and have not been successful at mathematics their entire career.
Is there a way for some of these students who do have trouble with math, just to keep them from giving up not only on math, but on other aspects of education?
Yes, we have. The state delineates that students need to take algebra, geometry, and algebra 2, but we offer other courses like the financial literacy, algebra applications, which is like a bridge to move students into that algebra 2. But it's that interest, it's that engaging the students in the mathematics that keeps them, when they feel success, when they have that success, then they believe I can do it because they can.
Yes. Are we talking math here? Are we talking quantitative reasoning? Are we talking a hybrid of, what are we talking about?
We're talking about all of the above. We want our kids to really learn how to think. You know, one of my favorite teachers once said that we don't teach poetry because we think every child's going to be a poet someday. We teach it because we want them to have a love of language and be able to communicate effectively. We don't teach mathematics because we think everyone's going to be a mathematician someday, although some will. But we do want to make sure that every child has access to the toolkit we call mathematics, because we want them to all think critically. And that's what we want all of our kids to be able to do, regardless of what career they choose or what path they go down.
So we're talking making math a little easier, maybe not easier, but easier, more approachable, more accessible. Is that a good idea in this modern world?
Absolutely, and technology can help. Technology can help visualize concepts. We have classes that run discussion boards so that the students can get their questions answered after hours. It's not the old traditional go to the classroom and two or three times a week go to a professor's office hours. It's in many respects it's 24/7.
Well, in many respects it's a brave new world out there as far as math and math education is concerned. Good to have you all here. Thanks for joining us. We
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much.
financial experts consider this an important time of year to consider your taxes and to remember that there's still time to make adjustments to impact next year's returns. We recently talked about all this with Jerry Gutman of Phoenix-based Gutman Financial Group. Welcome to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you back.
Thank you so much, Ted. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Final month of the year. Pretty good time to think about taxes, huh?
Should be.
How come?
Should be. There's so many things that people can do but don't do. They wait until January, February, and they've already wasted the best time of year, because the end of this year, the end of every year, there's choices you have to reduce your taxes significantly.
I would imagine charitable gifts ranks pretty high on the list.
They're fantastic. Through the state of Arizona, you can do something to schools, and you could take up to $2,000. You can donate up to $2,100 for a husband and wife, or $1,000 for a single person, or you can go $200 and $400 for the state.
And again, as long as they're given by December 31st, you're okay?
You are. You can actually send in for those that like to squeak things through a little bit or squeeze a little more, they can put it on a credit card December 31st and pay it in January if that's what they want to do.
I would imagine keeping receipts even for charitable donations very important.
Mandatory.
Yes.
Mandatory. You want to make sure the odds on getting audited are lower and lower. However, you don't want to have to look for it later. Save it. It doesn't take much to save the receipt or the check that you wrote.
I want to get into a number of things, but there's something out there called loss harvesting that I'd never heard of before. This is pretty important stuff. What is loss harvesting?
So it allows you at the end of the year to take a stock that you may have owned that lost money, selling it at the end of the year for the loss, and you could write that off against your income. It doesn't work in an IRA. It doesn't work in a qualified or a pre-tax account, a Roth IRA or a 401k. But if you have an account that's an after-tax account and you own individual stocks, you can, and even a mutual fund sometimes, you can take and sell them before the end of the year and take that loss. So if you put in $10,000 for that stock and it was worth $3,000 or $4,000, you could sell it for that $3,000 or $4,000, and the difference of the loss you could write off against your taxes.
Now these don't carry over to the next year, do they? Or do they?
They may. It depends on how you do your taxes. You may only get a certain percentage, and then you may have to take $3,000. So it caps at $3,000 going forward per year.
Okay, because I know that deferring income and maybe if you get a year-end bonus, that's a strategy as well, is it not?
It's a wonderful strategy. However, what if you get the bonus the next year? And what if you defer it and it puts you in another tax bracket the next year? That's a problem for many people.
So deferring income makes sense, but if you're thinking next year is going to be a bonanza and deferring income means more taxable income, not such a smart idea.
Not such a great idea.
Okay, 401k contributions, is it wise maybe to hike at the year end and then maybe back off the coming,
No, what I encourage people to do is put away what you can. At least make sure you put into the match if you can afford that. Mm-hmm. What I tell everybody to do is every January increase your 401k 1%. You will not feel it in your paycheck normally. However, at the end of the rainbow, when you retire, there'll be significantly more dollars. And it's a simple little thing.
So what about self-employed? What kind of ideas regarding 401ks, Roths, these sorts of things for the self-employed?
Well, there's something called a single K. So you can get up to a $54,000 deduction in a single K. That works very much like a 401k if you have a group or an employee, a large pool of employees. Many employers, self-employed people, you can take a 179 deduction. So if you want to buy an SUV, a heavy SUV or a pickup truck, you can get up to a $25,000 deduction for it at the end of the year. So it's something you really want to consider because it's a significant investment.
Now, as far as investing, that's one thing. Distributions, let's say IRA distributions and these sorts of things, what do you need to know about at year end, which may help in 2015, also help you in 2016?
Well, if you're over 70 and a half, the biggest challenge that I come across with people is if they have a large IRA, the required minimum distribution starts at 3.65%. So if you take $100,000 in your IRA on December 31, you multiply it by the 0.0365, so you'll have to take out $3,650 out of your $100,000 the first time. But if you don't take it out, there's a 50% penalty.
I was going to say the operative word there is required, is it
You
not?
got it. It's mandatory.
Yes.
It's requirement RMD. That's correct.
And folks aren't necessarily all that clear on that, are they?
They're rarely clear. So I make a point of talking to my clients, and I actually make them set up all their distributions on an automatic structure so that they can't make the mistake.
Yeah.
So they don't. So whether you take it monthly, quarterly, whatever your income needs, doesn't interest me. That's up to you. But you have to make sure you set it up early in the year so you don't forget at the end of the year, because the institution is going to send you a letter in January that takes care of their liability. Now it's on you.
Tax deductions and the alternative minimum tax. What's the relationship there? What do you need to know? What do you need to watch out for?
The alternative minimum tax comes up and bites you. So if you're it depends on the deductions you take, how it's structured. I would absolutely talk to your accountant in advance. So most people do very few people do tax planning. Many people do tax returns. And there's a huge difference. I find myself doing seminars regularly for a lot of institutions saying, please plan your year. Don't wait until tax time to get all your 1099s and then forget to do something. Mm-hmm. And because you chose not to. Turn over every rock, ask a lot of questions. I always encourage people, even if you do your own tax return, every 5 years, even if you do it yourself, go pay a professional to double check your work once, just to confirm that you've not missed anything. Because if you miss it, it could be thousands of dollars.
Flexible spending accounts, this affects some folks as well. These accounts, flexible spend, is that a use it or lose it kind of a situation?
It is. In most cases, it absolutely is, if you put it away and you don't use it. Here's a challenge that people aren't aware of. Because of the new health care plan, ACA, they are going to be receiving, small business owners have to send out, there's a new form for all employers called a 1095-C. So next month, by the middle of January, I believe it is, and they're still ironing out all this stuff, but they will be sending out all the forms to the employees of small companies that participate. Your listeners need to be aware that there will be some new taxes. There will be some new things they need to be aware of. And it's going to come up and probably bite them right in the tush, and they're not going to know.
All right, well, we don't want to get bitten in the tush here. So the most important thing to remember at year's end regarding taxes, what do you think it is?
Open your eyes, take the blinders off. Look at what's going on. Talk to your professional now. Don't wait until he sends you the tax, he wants you to compile information. Don't wait till he sends it to you in January. Get it today, call him or her today, and ask them what you should do for yourself. And then plan.
All right, well, good information at year's end as we, everyone's in holiday spirit, but you got to keep this stuff in mind, don't you?
This is an important time of year for everybody.
Jerry, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
We want to hear from you. Submit your questions, comments, and concerns via email at arizonahorizon@asu.edu.
Tuesday on Arizona Horizon, we'll get a live update from the U.S. Supreme Court on tomorrow's oral arguments involving an Arizona redistricting case, and we'll learn how Arizona musicians from the 1950s and 60s made an impact on the national music scene. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.